For the final video in this tutorial series, we're going to invite another user to our collaborative space. In this case, I'm going to invite my coworker, Bill Boxman, to help me with the final changes to this box design. The first thing I'll do is reach out to my administrator and make sure that Bill has been invited to 3DEXPERIENCE with the appropriate roles. Now that my coworker has been added to 3DEXPERIENCE, I need to grant them access to the collaborative space. I'll do this by clicking on the name of the collaborative space and then examining the information about this collaborative space. From here, we can see who has access to the collaborative space, and we can choose to add members. I'm going to go down to the section for leader and owner and begin typing Bill's name. Then I'll choose his complete name from the list. Lastly, I'll choose add members and wait for the notification indicating that Bill has been successfully added to this collaborative space. Here we are back in my session of SOLIDWORKS. I'm going to hand this box project off to Bill, so I no longer need to have this drawing open. You'll notice that I do not have reservation of these files. Here we can see Bill's machine. Bill has already installed the plugin to do data management in the cloud using SOLIDWORKS and 3DEXPERIENCE. So he turns on the add-in and then chooses Connect over in the task pane. Next, Bill will be asked to input his username and password. After choosing Login, Bill will be asked which collaborative space he should be working in. You'll notice Bill has access to different collaborative spaces than I do because Bill hasn't been invited to all the collaborative spaces I'm a part of. Bill will choose New Wooden Box and the role of Leader. He chooses OK, and the task pane updates, indicating that SOLIDWORKS has successfully connected to the collaborative space called New Wooden Box. Now, let's take a look at the local working area on Bill's machine. As we can see, this directory, C 3DEXPERIENCE My Work, is empty on Bill's machine. This is expected because this is a new install of the Data Management in the Cloud plugin. We'll come back to this screen in just a moment. Our goal is for Bill to update the drawing and model files related to 2020-BA-01. To retrieve these files, Bill will go to the top of the task pane and click on the magnifying glass. Bill doesn't remember the exact name of the drawing, so he'll simply type in BA space 2020 and press enter, and 3DEXPERIENCE will search for any data containing this text. To pull these files down to his local working area, Bill can right mouse button on the name of the drawing and choose Open. The drawing and related models are downloaded into Bill's local working area, and the drawing is opened in SOLIDWORKS. Here we can see in Windows Explorer that Bill's local working area now contains a local copy of the drawing, assembly, and both part models. Bill can close the search results by clicking on the X in the upper right corner of the task pane. He can now see that none of these files are currently reserved, which means all of the files are currently read-only. Bill can do a multi-select and then right mouse button on one of the files and choose Reserve. Bill has now reserved these files, letting me and the rest of the team know that he intends to make changes to the drawing, assembly, and part files. Here we can see Bill is going to make some changes to the lower section of the box and then release Revision A. No more changes will be made to Revision A. But Bill realizes he does need to make a change, so he creates a new revision, Revision B in Work. For Revision B, Bill's going to add a hole to this project and is then going to save this up to the collaborative space. Looks like he needs to reserve it. And finally, Bill is going to release revision B. Bill now returns to the assembly where he's ready to add the table into this project. So he goes to the search and enters the word table. When we created the table for box 2020 earlier in this tutorial series, we created 4 different revisions. So the search results display all of these revisions. This is a good example of where it can be helpful to utilize the obsolete maturity state. When we move a revision from released to obsolete, that revision is no longer accessible by members of our team. So we can make it a rule to only ever have one revision in the released maturity state. This is also an example of a great spot to use bookmarks. If Bill knew how to use bookmarks here, he could really simplify the process of locating this table. As it stands, Bill could use a workaround like maybe sorting the columns by modification date, and can then click on the top table 4 box and examine the file information. Here we can see this is the latest revision, revision D, so Bill will right mouse button on the file and choose Open. The table for box 2020 has been downloaded to Bill's local working area. Here we can see a new icon in the task pane indicating that someone else has this file reserved. That means that tech support Toby may still be making changes to the table 4 box, but Bill is still able to take that file and add it to his assembly. Here we can see that the table has been added to the assembly, and Bill feels pretty good about these changes. So he's going to right mouse button on the name of the assembly and choose Save. This allows Bill to push the latest version of the assembly, including the table, up to the collaborative space. The latest version of the assembly has now been stored in the collaborative space in the revision A in Work. Bill now wants to see if any updates have been made to table 4 box. Bill can get the latest information from the collaborative space by going to My Session and clicking Refresh. This is particularly valuable when someone else on your team is updating files that you're using in the assembly. Now that Bill has refreshed his session, he notices 2 new icons in the task pane. This first icon is indicating that there's a newer version of the current revision, revision D, in the collaborative space. This means the other user changed revision D. He also notices this second icon, the little plus, which indicates that there's an entirely new revision available in the collaborative space. So revision D was released and then a new revision was created. Whenever you see this first icon, you can right mouse button on the name of the file and choose Reload from Server. This will grab the latest version of the current revision from the collaborative space. Whenever you see this second icon, you can right mouse button on the name of the file and choose Replace by Revision. We demonstrated this Replace by Revision command earlier in the tutorial series, and as you can see, it gives you the ability to take a file and replace it with a different revision from within the collaborative space. I think this is a good place to end our tutorial series. Hopefully now you and your entire team are able to get up and running using SOLIDWORKS and data management in the cloud. But of course, this is just the beginning of your journey, so I'll be sure to include some great links below for some additional training. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.